Hello everyone, welcome to Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services. It's a video on daily news and editorial analysis, which I'll be covering from the Hindu and Indian Express. So the most important news and editorial of the day that is relevant for the preparation of civil services examination will be discussed in this session. Let's get started with the news topic list. Today is 28th of December. The first important news that is panel pulls up government for not creating the tourism council. This council will ensure the promotions of tourism in specific states. Second, India bid to beat cervical cancer. This is from the text and context page of the Hindu. Third, election commissions to begin delimitation exercise in Assam. Fourth, center to boost animation, VFX and gaming sector. And the last is an editorial, the suitable official. Apart from the news and editorial discussion, at the end of this video, there will be MCQ based questions, and these questions will be based on current affairs that will help you for the upcoming prelims examination. So without any further delay, let's get started. And before I begin this session, those of you who are new to our channel, do not forget to subscribe Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services on YouTube. If you like this video, if you find this video informative and helpful, do press a like button. Starting the session with the first news, that is panel pulls up government for not creating the tourism council, something important for general studies paper 2 under the subtopic that is the government policies and intervention for the development of various sectors and issues arising from its design and implementations. So the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Tourism, Transport and Culture has suggested a fast-tracking creation for National Tourism Council on the line of the GST Council to directly make recommendations to the union government and state government. So this is something very important with all the cautions the Parliamentary Standing Committee has asked the government to expedite the entire process for the creation of the Tourism Council. और ये Tourism Council एक ऐसी important council होगी जो कि state में promotions में even coordination between the center and state, it will help a lot. The committee noted that merely drafting of the national tourism policy is not enough, which recently the government has come up with the National Tourism Policy 2020. And even for the development of tourism sector in the country, we need to have a coordinating body, a well institutional setup that will call for a coordination between the center and the state government. Now, what is the status report concerning the fact? The status report was submitted by the standing committee, and the committee also sought to know the steps that was taken by the tourism ministry in its earlier recommendations of inclusions of the tourism in the concurrent list. तो कमिटी ने पहले रिकमेंड किया था कि जो टूरिज्म है उसे concurrent list में लाने की जरूरत है. As most of you must be aware, there are 3 lists under the Schedule 7 of the Indian Constitution. The first is the union list, the other is the state list, and third is the concurrent list. तो ये 3 लिस्ट के अंदर ड्यूटीज डिफाइंड है स्टेट यूनियन के अंदर, और कंकरेंट लिस्ट में दोनों स्टेट्स और जो यूनियन है उन वो एलिजिबल है उस लिस्ट पे काम करने के लिए. सो दे हैव कॉल्ड, द कमिटी हैज कॉल्ड फॉर इंक्लूजन्स ऑफ टूरिज्म इनटू द कंकरेंट लिस्ट. अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट. इवन इफ यू राइटिंग इन मेंस पेपर आप इस तरह के पॉइंट्स वहाँ भी इंक्लूड कर पाएंगे. The committee said that the inclusion of tourism in the concurrent list would help simplifying the issues of pandemic hit. जो pandemic की अगर बात करें, we have seen that the hospitality sector, especially the tourism sector, has witnessed a shortfall, or even revival की बात की जाए, that has not taken a pace yet. So it's a multi-sectoral activities where contribution of the central government and state government is essentially required. It has also asked the Ministry of Tourism whether any action has been taken on the long-standing recommendations that was given by the Standing Committee to include the tourism into the concurrent list. Now, industry status की बात की गई है. जो भी tourism council बनाए जाएंगे उनको industrial status की बात करने की recommendations दी है Parliamentary Standing Committee ने. They're sought to know that some 20 states were yet to accord the status of hospitality project and ask the ministries whether in this regard they have conveyed this to the state government via the center. And industry status will benefit the hotel across the state to get electricity water tariff at the cheaper rate लोअर प्रॉपर्टी टैक्स एंड द लाइसेंस फी। तो इस वजह से टूरिज्म सेक्टर्स के जो हॉस्पिटैलिटी सेक्टर्स हैं उनको इंडस्ट्रीज का स्टेटस देने की जरूरत है ताकि वो कुछ बेनिफिट्स कर पाए इलेक्ट्रिसिटी के टेरिफ्स में चीप रेट्स उनको मिले। इवन जो लोअर प्रॉपर्टी टैक्स है लाइसेंस फी है वो उनको कम पे करनी होगी कंपेयर टू द नॉर्मल कमर्शियल पर्पसेस। Now, as of now, only eight states have these facilities or have been accorded with the industrial status that include the state of Maharashtra, Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, Kerala, Karnataka, Punjab, Rajasthan, and Uttarakhand. They have accorded industry status to the hospitality project in the region. So, what is the benefit? As I've told you, cheaper rate उनको मिलेगी इलेक्ट्रिसिटी में, lower property tax और license fee भी कम देनी पड़ेगी compare to any commercial property that is operating. Now, moving to the other news, in India, bid to beat the cervical cancer, something important for general studies paper 2 under the subtopic that is issues related to development and management of health. So recently the government has announced that it will roll out vaccines for the preventions of cervical cancers to the girl age between 9 to 14 through the schools, right? It's a very important point that the government has taken a serious note for the final vaccinations with regards to the cervical cancer और HPV एक वायरस है जिसे ह्यूमन पेपिलोमा वायरस बोलते हैं. दिस इज अ मेन वायरस that is involved, right? तो गवर्नमेंट ने HPV that is human papilloma vaccines लाने की बात की है and this will be implemented via school board. So the National Technical Group for Immunization has recommended the introductions of human papilloma vaccines and even for this will be done as a part of the universal immunization program जिसके अंदर और भी काफ़ी vaccines हैं जो गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया incorporate करती है बहुत सारे एज ग्रुप को. So UIP is again a very important topic. UPSC has already asked the questions somewhere close to 2012 and 2013 में इस पे सवाल पूछे गए हैं कि यूनिवर्सल इम्यूनाइजेशन प्रोग्राम में कौन कौन से डिजीजेस को इंक्लूड की गई है. So do check it out the list. The UIP is one of the largest public health programs which offer free vaccines for at least 12 diseases and has successfully eradicated disease like polio, maternal and neonatal tetanus. तो ये कुछ क्लासिकल एग्जाम्पल्स हैं जो आप मेंस पेपर में भी यूज कर पाएंगे. Now, what is cervical cancer? Cervical cancer is a type of cancer that starts in the cervix. Most cervical cancer begin in the cell or surface of a cervix, and this is body organ which is found only in female, right? So, talking about the other part, it is the second most common cancer that occurs in India in women and cause large number of death annually. It is caused by the infection that is the human papilloma virus, जिसे HPV भी कहते हैं, and there are the vaccines to protect the cancerous HPV. But again, the indigenous vaccine that is developed और government जिसको लेकर के आ रही है, which will be helping a lot more people, even initially using a bottom-up approach, जहाँ पे schooling के साथ ये vaccinations mandatory की जाएंगी. The WHO has specified that the countries must maintain an incident rate fewer than 4 cases per lakh for women by year 2030. This is again an important target. You can use this point as an important point for your mains paper. Now, to achieve the goal, one of the most important things required is 90% of the girls to have vaccinated with HPV vaccines by the age of 50. This is what the target is, and if target is met, India will drastically reduce the number of cases reported for the cervical cancer. Now, there are stages in the cervical cancer. The first is the normal, this is a normal view. The early stage is known as 1B, the late stage is known as 1B, and the other stage is known as IIB. In several cases, in several stages, there's an infection that increases and they go on increasing, and this is how the cancerous tissues develop in the human body, especially in the females. Now, the cases of cervical cancer, a recent study by the Lancet, it's a reputed journal, which has shows that most of the 58 cases of the cervical cancer and the death globally were estimated in Asia, and India accounted for 21% of the cases and 23% of the death, followed by China, which has the less number compared to India, 18 and 17%. Now, according to the paper, globally they were estimated that 6,04,127 cervical cancer were reported in 2020, and the incidence rate of 13.3% of the cases per lakh women a year. And in India, the incident rate is 18% per lakh women. So this is again the concern, and even the government has taken decision. So this will be right time to go with the entire process. But the major problem lies with the awareness that is essentially required. Now, rollout of the vaccines की अगर बात करें, the indigenous vaccine called Cervavac is recently rolled out. और वैक्सीन्स की अगर बात करें, अप्रूवल मिल चुकी है वैक्सीन्स को from the Drug Controller General of India, and it has cleared with the advisory panel of the NITKI in the use of the UIP program. This is the image of the vaccine, Cervavac. Now, talking about the other part, one-time catch of vaccines, which is 9 to 14 of the age group for the adolescents before it is introduced to the 9-year age, and states and union territories has been asked to issue directives to appropriate the authorities organizing HPV vaccine centers and schools. So government will be rolling this vaccines at the mid of 2023. So you as an individual, if you know someone who is a female, who is the age group or adolescents between 9 to 14, just make them aware that these are the government immunization program mandatory for each and every girls. I've already shown you this is a vaccine that is released and approved by the agencies. Now, challenges according to the Lancet study, the burden of the cervical cancer remain high in Asia and Africa. The study identifies substantial geographical and socio-economic inequalities in terms of cervical cancer globally, with a clear gradient of increasing rates of the countries with lower level of human development. So mostly poor countries जहाँ पे hygiene नहीं है, proper nourishment नहीं है, proper nutrition नहीं है, वहाँ पे ये cases ज़्यादा report की गई है. In India, India has ranked 132 out of 191 countries in the Human Development Index. Now, what lies ahead? Definitely, the implementation will be a bigger challenge, and also awareness campaign is essentially required. So once the vaccine is launched through the Universal Immunization Program, and by UIP, this will be free for every individual, right? And it should be have a maximum number of the targeted populations. The surveillance system and infrastructure used for COVID-19 vaccinations may be customized to improve the HPV vaccinations, and even monitor the cervical cancer screening program, improve the health system capacity to deliver more efficient preventive services. This is what the Lancet has actually said. So we need to work as a holistically. We need to work in a manner which call for the robust result. Practically, it should be giving the result. It should be a result-oriented exercise, after which only the success rate is possible. Now, moving to the other news, election commissions to begin delimitation exercise in Assam, something important for General Studies Paper 2, under the subtopic Functions and Responsibility of Union and States and Issues and Challenges Pertaining to the Federal Structure of our country. So recently, the Election Commission has initiated the delimitations of assembly and parliamentary constituencies in Assam. This venue, the place, become very important for many other competitive examination. और delimitation एक exercise है जो revision के तौर पे basically every 10 year Election Commission do it. The Commission will be using the census of 2001 figure for the readjustment of the seats, and the Commission has said, the Election Commission has said that it has put in place with effective regulations for 2023 to create a new administrative unit in the state till the exercise is completed. The term of current Assam Legislative Assembly ends on May 20 by 26. The state has 14 Lok Sabha, 126 Assembly and 7 Rajya Sabha seats. So if you're preparing for state PCS specifically for Assam, these information might be relevant for your examination purposes. Now, provisions for the Delimitation Act, किस तरह से delimitations काम करती है, बात करें delimitation क्या है? Delimitation is a process of fixing the limits or boundaries for territorial constituencies in a country with a state having a legislative body. Now, under the provisions of the Delimitation Act 1972, the last delimitation of the constituencies in Assam was effective on the basis of 71 census. और current में जो की जा रही है वो 2001 के census पे है, ना कि 2011 के census पे, right? So this is 2001. The figure of delimitation commission was used for 1976. The move redraw the assembly and parliament seat of Assam as per the section 8A of the Representation of the People Act 1950 and has been initiated following the request from the Union Law Ministry. So this is how the things are working. There are due process of law that has to be followed. There are certain peculiar features of the sections of the RP that has to be invoked. The last delimitation constituencies in Assam were based on the consensus figure of 1971 and then the limitation commissions of 1976. The delimitation process in the fourth northeastern state of Assam, Nagaland, Manipur, and Arunachal Pradesh was referred in 2008 due to security reason. तो इनको deferred किया गया, delay किया गया, cancel किया गया because of security reason. This was not pursued. Now, talking about the census figure, as mandated under Article 170 of the Indian Constitutions, the census figure 2001 shall be used for the purpose for readjustment of the parliamentary and assemblies constituency in the state. Reservation of the seat for the scheduled caste and the scheduled tribe will be provided as per the Article 330 and 332 of the Indian Constitution. And the Commission will design and finalize its own guideline and methodology for the purpose of delimitations of the constituency. Now, delimitations की अगर बात करें, UPSC has asked a question in the prelims examination in 2015. This is for the prelims, and a question was mains examination was also consecutively asked. So do check it out how this function works, and if this process take place, it will be very relevant for both prelims and mains examination. Now, during the delimitation exercise, the Commission will keep in mind with the physical feature. These are some of the things that is taken with the caution. The first is the physical feature of the state, existing boundaries for the administrative unit, facility of the communications, public conveyance, as far as practical and constituencies will be kept in the geographical area compact in a statement that is noted by the elections commissions. Once the draft proposals for delimitation constituencies are finalized by the election commission, it will be published in the Center and State Gazette for inviting the suggestions and any objections for general public. So an opinion is also taken from general public and the other stakeholders. Now, moving to the other news, Center to boost animation VFX gaming sector, something important for general studies paper 2 under the subtopic, that is the government policies and intervention for the development of various sectors and issues arising from it, design and implementations. The video games, basically which was inspired by Ramayana Mahabharata, जो रामायण और महाभारत है इंडिया की माइथोलॉजिकल बुक्स हैं या फिर एपिसोडिक्स हैं, दूरदर्शन के चैनल्स में इंडिजिनस एनिमेशंस को प्रमोट करने के लिए और उसके अलावे गवर्नमेंट ने कुछ स्पेशल डिग्री प्रोग्राम अप्रूव किए हैं यूजीसी के थ्रू. So these are some of the important things that government has started to promote Indianizations of graphic in India. Now, among the avenues that has been explored by the government is to promote the animations, visual effects, gaming and comic and sectors in the country. Now, an interministerial task force headed by the Information and Broadcasting Secretary has made recommendations of being studied by the government, और ये कुछ ऐसे important top officials हैं Information and Broadcasting Ministries के, Skill Development Ministries के, जिन्होंने अपने suggestions दिए हैं और रिपोर्ट जो है वो सबमिट की है गवर्नमेंट को. The committee was formed by the Information and Broadcasting Ministries in April following the proposals in the budget. Now, क्या रोड मैप है, कैसे एनिमेशंस VFX की इंडस्ट्रीज को किस तरह से आगे बढ़ाना है, गवर्नमेंट प्रैक्टिकली क्या काम करना चाहती है. टू एड्रेस दिस, द कमिटी हैज recommended launching of university level courses, that is bachelor or PG courses, that is a post graduation courses in experimental arts, bachelor in graphical arts, that is the comic and animation design, bachelor in cinematic arts, that is comic, animation and VFX, and bachelor of creative arts and sciences, bachelor of science and game development. तो ये कुछ courses हैं जो यूनिवर्सिटी लेवल पे पोस्ट ग्रेजुएशन और अंडर ग्रेजुएट बच्चों को दी जाएगी. And another recommendations of the committee was at least 2 faculty, one for the KG to 5 and other 4 faculties for the basically numbers accordingly बढ़ाए जाएंगे. अभी सिर्फ initially 2 faculties रखने की बात की गई है from class 6 to class 12th, right? They should educate the student at the school level और ये करिकुलम की कंटेंट बनाने की बात की है ताकि वहाँ पे बच्चों की मेंटोरशिप की जा सके. द टैलेंटेड स्टूडेंट शुड आइडेंटिफाई देयर कोर आइडियाज and even their interest in this sector, because what happens like till 12th from 10 onwards student are not aware कि उन्हें किस सेक्टर्स पे आगे बढ़ने हैं. तो इस तरह के क्रिएटिव कोर्स उनके माइंड को एक्सप्लोर करेंगे and even will help them understand to know whether they are liking this course or not. Now animations, visual effect, gaming, comics की अगर growth projections की बात करें, according to the report by Indian media entertainment sector that has reported that this sector is expected to grow at 8.8% compounded annual growth rate, also known as CAGR, right, to reach 53.75% billion by 2026. Again, it's a huge potential sector, not only for India but globally as well. Now, with the industries, AVGC sector may have a growth of 14 to 16% on the next decade. At present, India contribute 2.5 billion to 3 billion out of the estimated 260 to 275 billion global market of AVGC. एक बड़ी मार्केट है जिसे इंडिया अपने एंड से भी चेज करना चाहती है एंड गेट बेस्ट पोटेंशियल आउट ऑफ इट फ्रॉम द इंडिजिनस पीपल, फ्रॉम द कंट्रीज great potentials from the youth who can be pursuing this at the global level as well. Now, there's some important facts which I have discussed. आप इसे revise कर सकते हैं यहाँ पे. These are some of the things that you can find in the newspaper also, right? And talking about the courses that I've already told you, and the deficit is 24,000 approximately processed within the graduate above needed, and 16,000 students graduating from recognized degree awarding institutions in this period. So this sector, AVGC, has a huge potential and government is looking forward to augment the sector. Now, growth rate of media and entertainment sectors में अगर आप देखें तो अगेन डिजिटल मीडिया और ऑनलाइन गेमिंग के बाद एनिमेशन एक ऐसी सेक्टर है जो कि काफ़ी ज़्यादा फ्लरिश कर रही है. एंड द लीस्ट अमंग देम इज द प्रिंट एंड रेडियो फॉलोड बाय टेलीविजन्स. Moving to the editorial of the day, the suitable officer. This is something important for general studies paper 2. That is the government policies and intervention for the development of various sectors and issues arising from a design and implementation. A brilliant editorial written by the chairman of Maruti Suzuki, R.C. Bhargava. And he has stated how an IS officer can be a leader in terms of augmenting the sector, be it any sector. Specifically in this editorial, he is focusing more on the manufacturing part. So what are the issues under this editorial? We'll see that. First, before that, talking about the revamping the functioning of an officer. The issues include the role of an officer, desired quality of an officer, identifying the problems, distrust in the private sector by the officers concerned, and suggestions that is given by him. So the union government visions to make in India and ease of doing business policies are framed to resolve the problems that is there with regards to the poverty, unemployment, and even the rapid growth of the manufacturing sector. So why they come up with this policy so that जो manufacturing sectors है उसे boost up की जा सके, and this should help the overall development of the country. Now, despite this effort which was made by Government of India, manufacturing still has not shown any significant increase in the growth, and investment in this sector remained inadequate. Now, from here we'll see how the things need to be changed, how an enforcement procedure is very important, and enforcement in this direction will be implemented none other than by an IAS officers. The role of an officer for a development of a country, the political leaders, what they do, they lays down the policy, they lays down the roadmap, they lays down the responsibility that translates into the ground by the officers, none less than the IAS officer, who are the implementer at the topmost level from the district to other secretaries level. The policies are largely made by the center, but implementations की अगर बात करें वो state की duty होती है कि जो central की policies है उसको वो implement करें. Most of the senior posts in the secretaries and district are held by the service, that is the Indian Administrative Service, and they are responsible for ensuring the subordinate civil services that is equally trained, skilled, and motivated to guide the delivery and good outcome of a policy. Desired quality क्या होनी चाहिए ऑफिसर्स में? डेफिनेटली जो रिक्रूटमेंट होती है सिविल सर्विसेज में the civil services examination, which is conducted by UPSC, they recruit the high quality entrants, right? As you are also preparing, you are preparing yourself for the best. You are a high quality aspirant. So these quality are checked before they are actually recruited. And however, that does not automatically means कि selections के बाद वो एक individual उस सेक्टर में बहुत अच्छा परफॉर्म करेगा. ही नीड टू हैव स्पेशलाइजेशन इन द सेक्टर दैट विल कम ओनली आफ्टर द सर्विसेज. ऐसा नहीं है कि आपने किसी ऑफिस को रिक्रूट किया और किसी सेक्टर में भी आप काम करवा ले. इट हैज अ ग्रेजुअल प्रोसेस दैट इवॉल्व ओवर द टाइम. सो दे नीड टू हैव अ प्रॉपरली इक्विप्ड विद वर्क विद द मैन्युफैक्चरिंग सेक्टर. तो यहाँ पे मैन्युफैक्चरिंग की बात की गई, तो मैन्युफैक्चरिंग को अगर बूस्ट करनी है तो वहाँ पे मैन्युफैक्चरिंग के स्पेशलाइज्ड नॉलेज और एक्सपीरियंस की जरूरत होगी. द ऑफिसर शुड हैव aware of the fact that these add and even help in the cost of manufacturing. Now, to appreciate the importance of the demand and creation for enabling industries, it is important to achieve economy for scale. However, the stability in the policy requires companies to make long-term investment. तो सरकार की तरफ से और जो स्टेट गवर्नमेंट्स, इवन फॉर द सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट, स्टेट गवर्नमेंट, दे नीड टू हैव अ कोऑर्डिनेशन एंड गिव a chance and opportunity to enrich their experience of IAS officers so that they can contribute in the different sectors of the economy. Identifying the problem, the developmental strategies and plan for implementations of their executive is done by individual. जो executions part है वो कोई ना कोई individual level पे होती है. So a specialized training and experience is required. Repeated failure in the area of point necessity identifying the root why this exists a personal change with the policy executions has been failing. तो ये कुछ कारण है जिस वजह से बार बार प्रॉब्लम्स आ रही हैं मैन्युफैक्चरिंग सेक्टर की बूस्ट ना होने की वजह से. द रीजन कुड बी इनएडिक्वेट नॉलेज, जैसे मैंने आपको बताया, दैट कम ओवर द टाइम, ओवर द एक्सपैन ऑफ एक्सपीरियंसेस दैट कम, lack of motivations, environmental constraints and weak supervision and monitoring by the senior officer. Now, distrust देखी गई है प्राइवेट सेक्टर्स के ऊपर. इवन फॉर द ऑफिसेस the effective implementations has become a complex issue in the past only because of the mistrust that is there. Public sector में तो trust है, but अगर वही private sectors की बात करें, mistrust देखी जाती है decision making में. And many of the laws and procedures that are based on the suspicions of the private sector industries. The civil servants are generally not private sector friendly. They mostly are not confident when it's come to dealing with the financial implications. The result, there is a long delay and higher cost and loss of competitiveness is also there. Now we need to have an IAS officer who is equipped with this, and to become more effective in dealing with this manufacturing sector, the other area of development is also required. Enrich experience, motivations, training, specialization. These all things will help to build up a strong foundations for the manufacturing sector with a guided factor which will be led by an officers, none other than the IAS officers. Now, कुछ suggestions बताए गए हैं इस editorial में, like they need to have a reform in the human resource development. अगर बात करें human resource की, that is in private call it HR, government में HRD, human resource development for specifically for the public services, which is the best global practices, right? A wing should be created by within the DOPT, that is a Department of Personnel and Training. उनके within एक विंग्स बनाने की जरूरत है जो कि मॉनिटर करे, एंड दे शुड मैंडेट द प्रोफेशनल्स इन द ह्यूमन डेवलपमेंट सो दैट दे शुड सेलेक्ट द ऑफिसर्स उनके स्पेशलाइजेशंस को देखते हुए, उनके एप्टीट्यूड्स को देखते हुए वो सर्विसेज आईएएस ऑफिसर्स उसी कैटेगरीज उसी सर्विसेज से लोग को लाएं उस सेक्टर्स में जहाँ पे वो उनको ट्रेन कर पाए, पॉलिसी के बारे में बता पाए, और मैन्युफैक्चरिंग और इंडस्ट्रियल डेवलपमेंट की बात करें तो उनके बारे में स्पेसिफिक स्पेशलाइजेशन ट्रेनिंग दे सके. Now, the selections could also be made after the completion of 10 years of services. ऐसा नहीं है कि आपने initially recruit हुए हैं, you are a new professional and you will join. No, there has to be a service, there has to be experience, right? Thereafter, the selected officer would be trained to give a posting and they will get knowledge and the experience, right? They would be able to understand the finer points competing the marketplace. अगर एक बार interaction हुई, अगर उसने skills पे काम किया, if they started with the scratch, it will understand how the things are working about the market, right? So it is very important to get the familiarity of the industries, and the periodic evaluations is also required ताकि evaluate की जा सके performance को by the professionals to identify who is capable for the highest level of the policy making and strategies by the government of India. So this is how the filter process can work in the higher level of the bureaucracy. Now moving to the MCQ questions of the day. Before I proceed, just to tell you the answers of yesterday questions. For first question, the correct option is C. For second question, the correct option is C again. Today's MCQ for practice, making peace with nature. को बताना है कौन सा correct option है, first, second, third or fourth. Now the second question is about the VLSRM. It's indigenously developed by DRDO. It's capable of neutralizing various threats, including the sea skimming targets. So do check it out for the correct options. This type of question might be relevant for the upcoming prelims examination. This was all about for the daily news and editorial analysis, followed by the MCQ questions. If you have any other concern, you can let me know. I'll be more than happy to assist you. For time being, I'm signing off. Thank you so much for watching this video.